Funding for Schaefer-Ellis is provided by
Surfshark VPN. Tune until the end to find out about their amazing service.
And the Oscar goes to Daniel Kaluuya,
Jo Jung-yoon,
Francis McDormand,
Anthony Hopkins,
Ariana DeBose,
Troy Kutza,
Will Smith,
Jessica Chastain,
Kiwi Clark, Jamie Lee Curtis, Brendan Fraser, Michelle Yeoh,
Davine, Robert Downey Jr.,
Cillian Murphy,
Emma Stone,
Kieran Culkin,
Zoe Saldana,
Adrian Brody,
Mikey Madison.
Huh. Those are all weird ways of saying Charles Melton. Also, Ariana, calm down. I know it's an exciting, emotional moment, but you're kind of stealing his emotional thunder by crying as you announce his name. Ah, well, she's a theater kid. What are you gonna do? So this seemed like a fun idea to me. I've unfortunately been keeping up with the Oscars religiously since like 2012, and they've kind of played a notable role in shaping my channel over the years. Not only have I reviewed the last 4 telecasts, but my first ever major ranking video was about decisions made by the Academy. Namely, the winners in the Best Animated Feature category. I've been talking about this stupid, dumb, stupid awards show that I love to hate and hate to love for 6 years now. And since I wanted to branch out and talk about more live action fare anyway, and since we've officially reached the halfway point of the 2020s with 5 years and a nice even 20 acting winners under our belt, why not give my thoughts about all of them? There have been some truly amazing and deserved wins, as well as some that I'm not particularly fond of. So that's what we're here to rank today. Every Academy Award winning performance from 2020 to 2024. Yeah, just to clarify, I know that the Oscar winning performances from 2019 movies were honored this decade in 2020, but I'm just going by when the movies came out. 2019 was last decade. I'm not talking about the Joker, baby. But yeah, 20 performances to discuss here. I'm mostly just gonna be focusing on the performance itself. For the most part, I'm not going to really let whether I think someone else in the category deserved the win drag the actual winner lower in the ranking. I mean, I will be giving my thoughts on who I think should have won in each category each year, as well as whether I think the Oscar-winning performance from any given movie was actually that movie's best one. But just know that didn't really affect the ranking all that much. I'm also going to try and name a favorite scene for each of these winners. That one moment that I think best exemplifies why their performance won the Oscar. Lastly, I want to say that, and this might genuinely be shocking to some of you, but I don't really think a single performance here is outright bad. Some of these are absolutely bad wins that don't make any sense, but even the worst performance on this list is fine. As a result, if you think someone on the list is placed low, that's not me saying they sucked, just that the performances ranked above them are a bit better. Alright, let's get it going.
Disappointment in the game of life.
Alright, now for the $1 million question. Zoe Saldana or Jamie Lee Curtis for the bottom spot? Well, on the one hand, Zoe Saldana is definitely in a worse movie than— oh, come the f*** on, of course it's Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh my god, are you serious? You gave her an Oscar for this performance? This is insane! It's not like she's bad at playing an annoying tax narc who does a bunch of other crazy shit. It's just, what about this role puts her in Academy Award contention? She has tiny emotional moments towards the end, and I mean tiny. Most of them are chopped up in little bits within the hot dog finger universe, which are obviously played for a gag. These are on the same level of emotional depth as the Raccacoonie scenes. Why don't you give Raccacoonie a fucking Oscar at this point? She has one pretty decent emotional line delivery in the main universe about being a cold, unfeeling bitch, and then it cuts away from her, and the rest of the scene entirely belongs to Michelle Yeoh. Seriously, what am I missing here? Again, it's not a bad performance, but it's pretty much entirely a cartoon character. She does not feel real or emotionally rich at any point, which isn't her fault because that's just what the character is. It's not a role that demands an Academy Award worthy performance. Jamie Lee Curtis knew this and did not give one. And yet she won anyway! Over not only 3 far more compelling performances from other movies, but over Stephanie Hsu, who's like the second most important character in the film! The entire climax and so much of it revolves around her! She gives an incredible performance with so many layers to it that totally should have won! Other people have said that Carrie Condon or Angela Bassett should have won over both of them. And I would have been okay with that! Anyone but Jamie Lee Curtis! Alright, let me break down the hierarchy of the 2022 Best Supporting Actress race by paying homage to an Oscar-nominated Martin Scorsese film. Ahem. You see, on top there's Stephanie Hsu, then there's Carrie Condon, then the third best performance.
Oh, that's me.
No, there's Angela Bassett, there's Hong Chow.
Oh, then there's me.
I'm getting there. There's the entire cast of women talking. There's Zoe Saldana in Avatar 2. There's Whale Poo, and then there's you. So yeah, to be clear, even if there wasn't any strong competition whatsoever, let alone strong competition from the same movie, I still would not even register this as a performance that should win an Oscar. Seriously, forget the competition argument for a second, and just tell me, what scene in the movie did Curtis have that was Oscar worthy? Legit, please explain that to me. It's been 2 years and I'm only more confused now than I was back then. I guess it was just a career win, where the quality of the performance doesn't matter since we just think this actor has been doing good work for years and should have an Oscar by now. Just any Oscar. Let's toss him one. It's a common trend with some of the weakest winners. And trust me, this will not be the last one we see on this list.
Can't touch this.
Okay, so now it's time for Zoe Saldana, right? Not yet, minion. I was not prepared for the sheer mediocrity and unmemorability of the Oscar-winning performance of Oscar Sharktail himself, Will Smith!
Fortnite.
First of all, I promise this placement has nothing to do with the slap. I also wanted to point out that it's very funny that he gets slapped 10 minutes into the movie and then slaps someone else 10 minutes later. Life imitates art and all that. But oh my god, it's kind of pathetic that this is an Oscar-winning performance. It's not bad or anything, but it's just, I don't know, man, it's just Will Smith. He looks and sounds like Will Smith playing Richard Williams, not the actual Richard Williams. I don't know much about the guy, but I looked up interview footage to compare, and Will Smith sounds nothing like him in this movie. As an impression, this really is not anything remarkable. But putting that aside and just judging his emotional range in the film and how he embodies an unhinged father, yeah, no, I'm still not getting much out of this. His performance is honestly really one note the entire time. He's a little better in the more intense scenes, like when he's yelling at the cops or when he interrupts the interview. His big, emotional, sad scene towards the end felt manipulative and inauthentic. This whole movie felt a little manipulative, like they were trying to justify Richard Williams' terrible behavior because it worked out, I guess. It should have focused on Venus and Serena. Who gives a shit about their dad? Okay, sorry, back to the performance. You know Anjanou Ellis-Taylor acts circles around Will Smith in every single scene they share, right? I don't know, where's her Oscar? Yeah, this is an unbelievably lame win. It just felt like the Academy going through the motions of, hey, Will Smith never won an Oscar. Let's arbitrarily give him one for this forgettable performance in this forgettable movie. Cause he's Will Smith and he had a good career and we like him. I hope he doesn't do anything tonight to change that. Oh, boring career win, nothing more. Andrew Garfield should have taken it for Tick Tick Boom, dude. Now that's a killer performance. He learned how to sing for that shit. Will Smith just showed up as himself and yelled a bit. Again, I should stress that he wasn't bad. It's just an Oscar for this? Get real.
From penis to vagina.
Okay, now let's talk about Emilia Perez for hopefully the last time ever. Now, this is a career win if I've ever seen one. Zoe Saldana swept the season for a fine performance in one of the most despised cinematic abominations in recent memory. But we've all been over this film quite enough in the past few months. Let's just focus on the performance. Yeah, I don't know. This is the one element of the film where it's hard to really find that much wrong with it. Again, I can't stress enough, I don't think this is Oscar worthy, but Saldana feels committed and down to earth in a way not a single other fucking person involved in this movie does. I think her facial expressions sell her frustration with her work very well. And while she's not the best singer, she does pretty good with the musical numbers overall. The opening two songs and El Mal are comparative highlights to the rest of the film's songs, largely because of her fine enough vocals and great distinct movements. Of course, she also has plenty of sucky moments during these songs. Something something I'd like to know about, sex change operation, something something, changing the body changes society, changing society changes it all. Kill me. Pretty much everyone in her category would have been a better pick. I would have gone with Ariana Grande personally, but even Isabella Rossellini with her 4 minutes of screen time in Conclave would have been preferable. Also, Margaret Qualley should have been nominated. Also, Zoe Saldana has the most screen time out of anyone in this film. The f you mean supporting actress? I guess she's not the title character, so that means she's supporting. Okay, sure. This is a deeply embarrassing win she only got for her impressive career. But I can't feasibly rank it last, even though I would certainly like to. She really did the best she could amidst a sea of dog shit. But like, genuinely, unironically, her performance in Infinity War was more Oscar-worthy than this.
Oh, jeez.
Well, we got the unpopular 3 out of the way. Now here's a take some of you might actually disagree with me on. I can't say I really got a whole lot out of Frances McDormand's 3rd Oscar-winning performance in Nomadland. I mean, she's an amazing actress, and her win a couple years back for 3 Billboards was genuinely outstanding. But here? I don't know, she's definitely good, giving some solid, subdued reactions to the lives of the nomads she meets. I suppose I just find it weird how pretty much everyone else in this movie is a real nomad, and these are close to their actual lives, and yet here she is getting an award for pretending to live the same way as the rest of them. I know, that's what acting is, but it's just hard not to feel the tiniest twinge of inauthenticity from this performance when you compare her to someone like Swankie. Swankie gives this really touching, heartfelt monologue about her plans for the end of her life. And then you just see Frances give a mild reaction to it, and it's like, okay. Once again, I have no disrespect towards her as an actress. If there was any living actresses out there who deserve 3 Oscars, she's gotta be among them. But for this? I can't even really pick out a best scene of hers from this movie. I guess I liked it when she told that girl at the beginning she was houseless, not homeless. Overall though, I would have given this to Viola Davis maybe. Hell, even Carey Mulligan gave a more impressive performance, even if Promising Young Woman was shit. Oh well, at least she howled like a wolf in her acceptance speech. That was pretty funny. No, wait, that wasn't even the speech for her performance. That was during the Best Picture acceptance speech. Damn, what does this performance have?
Where's your wife? Go home to your family, dude.
Going into this project, there were only 3 movies with Oscar-winning performances this decade that I had never seen before. The Eyes of Tammy Faye, King Richard, and The Whale. And I kinda expected to like King Richard the least out of the 3, but it was just mediocre. The Whale, on the other hand, holy shit, dude. I could not stand this film. The script is over-expository and unnatural. It feels like it was written by an 8th grader nihilist. Every single character is unlikable in some way. It's miserable. It's repetitive. It's pointless. Honestly, I thought going in that the only reason people didn't like this film was because it was fat-phobic. But yeah, no, that's like the 8th worst thing about it. Brendan Fraser and Hong Chow do their best to elevate this dogshit material, but there's only so many ways to polish a turd, you guys. I feel like we were all just generally very happy for Brendan Fraser to get some recognition and a moment to shine considering how horrible his experience in Hollywood has been. I don't think anyone's necessarily upset with the fact that he won an Oscar in general, especially for a performance where he is indeed trying. I certainly wouldn't call him bad in this film, but he's also just kind of one note throughout most of it. Yeah, he does a good job selling that this guy is dying and wants to reconnect with his daughter, but it truly is nothing extraordinary. Now, it is really tricky to judge the quality of this performance considering I barely felt any empathy for Charlie, which is entirely because of the writing. Like, the fact that I'm rolling my eyes at a lot of these supposedly emotional moments is not Fraser's fault by any means. But with that said, I just don't think the performance is so transcendent that it makes the entire movie worth watching. He's good, but I struggle to remember any key moments that really stood out as truly incredible Academy Award worthy acting. I guess I like the tender scene where he remembers the last time he went swimming, when they were all together as a family. His acting in the ending scene was pretty good too, before I started laughing at the ham-fisted, melodramatic, inauthentic absurdity of him lumbering towards his daughter. Yeah, I know it was a metaphor, but it was still stupid and unearned. I hated him, I hated his annoying daughter, I hated his wife, I hated his nurse friend for enabling him, I hated the missionary dork. The pizza guy was okay, I guess. Sorry, I really don't mean for my thoughts on the film itself to bleed into the performance. I hope the fact that Fraser isn't ranked dead last at least reflects that enough. In his category this year, though, I mean, maybe I'm biased because I love Aftersun, but I think Paul Mescal would have been a really cool win. Colin Farrell was also better in Banshees of Inisherin, and honestly, I also didn't like Elvis, but I was more impressed with Austin Butler's performance than Fraser's. Fraser is one of those rare wins where I'm totally okay with it being for the narrative and comeback. I think he's a bit of a special case in that regard. In terms of performance though, this really wasn't it.
Get lost, Squidward.
Alright, it's time to talk about the Oscar-winning performance from Oppenheimer. In the supporting actor category, that is. Come on, I'm not insane. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. definitely gave a good performance as the intensely vengeful and spiteful Louis Strauss, but I still kind of found it a little annoying that he swept the season when, I mean, come on, was it that good? He's no Charles Melton in May December. Easily the best supporting performance of that entire year, which wasn't nominated. Among the nominees, though, I honestly preferred Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, and even the more comedic performances in the category like Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things, and Ryan Gosling as Ken. Yeah, that sounds a bit insane to say, but that's just because comparing wholly comedic performances to wholly dramatic ones is a bit insane in practice. The point is, I was a little baffled by the near unanimous sweep. I mean, I guess people were just excited Downey was playing someone other than Tony Stark after all this time, and they wanted to reward him for his long career. Okay, sure. But again, while he's good in the movie, and while his role is important, I just feel like there's half a dozen other actors in Oppenheimer who are on his level. What about Matt Damon, Benny Sadfi, Jason Clarke, Cooper Trapp? Hell, even fake Han Solo is able to match Downey pretty handily in their scenes together. I'm not gonna act like this isn't a good performance. I mean, you can really see the contempt on Downey's face in a lot of these scenes. My personal favorite moment of his is when they're at the round table and he really grills into Oppenheimer. It's pretty much the only time he gets to take a stand against his enemy face to face. It's a great and fiery moment for his performance. I also really like the way he delivers, "No, just a shoe salesman," towards the beginning. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. It's good for sure. I don't know about Oscar worthy, but it's agreeable enough. Glad Downey got a gold trophy before heading back to the slop factory. Yippee! Look, I don't care what the haters say. Coda is genuinely such a sweet film. Is it a worthy Best Picture winner? I mean, look, Coda is such a sweet film. I have to say though, while Troy Kotsur gives a pretty good performance as the dad, he's absolutely one of the actors in this ranking who suffers the most from why exactly was this the only performance in the movie singled out for awards praise. Like, I never got that. Marlee Martin is giving an equally expressive and emotional performance, and she didn't get nominated for shit. I guess that's because she already won Best Actress in 1986, and we can't just give a deaf person 2 Oscars. Don't be ridiculous now. Daniel Durant also didn't get any awards attention for his performance. And if we want to jump over to one of the non-deaf actors, I think Emilia Jones is really fantastic in this, both in her acting and her singing. I just can't look at this movie and only see a mind-blowing, Oscar-worthy performance in Troy Kotsur. I mean, he's really good as the caring yet goofy dad. There are definitely some really powerful scenes centered around him towards the end, like at the concert and when he asks Ruby to sing the song just for him. That's probably my favorite scene of his. Other than that, yeah, I don't know, man. It's good, but not incredible. This wasn't exactly a stacked category, though. I mean, I love J.K. Simmons, but I did not watch Being the Ricardos, and I don't want to. I didn't care much for either of the supporting performances from Power of the Dog, and I don't remember a single solitary thing that happened in Belfast. Yeah, I guess if we're not gonna nominate the clear Best Supporting Actor performance of 2021, which I may or may not talk about when the topic of West Side Story comes up, then Troy Kotsur is a pretty agreeable win. It is very nice to give a deaf actor some recognition for a performance that is good and has a lot of sweet moments attached to it. Not an exceptional win, but a very hard one to get upset about.
Hey, motherfuckers!
I feel really bad ranking the first ever actor from my beloved Succession to win an Oscar this relatively low. But truth be told, as much as I love the guy, I don't think Kieran Culkin did anything that remarkable in A Real Pain. I'm not one of those prudes who thinks he was just playing Roman Roy 2.0. I mean, yeah, the characters are both sarcastic and troubled, but Benji is a far more kind and genuine soul than Roman could ever hope to be. Kieran really is magnetic as he gets to show off his natural charisma and win over the hearts and minds of everyone he comes across, even if he's a little crude while doing so. But he also plays into that age-old adage that the loneliest people are the kindest. He does some great non-verbal acting where you can genuinely make out a real pain on his face. Hey, that's the name of the movie. His rant scenes are really well acted, and honestly, my favorite scene of his was when he and David introduced themselves to the tour group, and you really get a sense for how profoundly depressed he is at the loss of his grandma, something he might not even have fully processed until now. It's a very good performance, but like, sweep the season worthy? I mean, I'll take it over Zoe Saldana, but like, was it that good? I wouldn't say anything in here is on the caliber of his performances in Connor's Wedding, or especially Church and State from Succession. Like, he plays this character very well, but I wouldn't call him the standout considering how Jesse Eisenberg is pretty much able to fully match him with his more neurotic and timid performance. And honestly, Jesse Eisenberg kind of gets the best acting moment in the whole film. On rewatch, that monologue at the restaurant is what got me the most choked up. Like, I'm sorry, why was this guy not included in the conversation for Best Actor this year at all, while Kieran's equally good performance was inexplicably showered with awards? Actually, better question, why was Kieran not in the conversation for Best Actor? Because I'm sorry, these two are co-leads. I refuse to believe Kieran is a supporting presence in this film. If they were opposite genders, they would be competing for Best Actor and Actress. This is like if Ryan Gosling swept the supporting categories for La La Land all season because, hey, he's not the lead, Emma Stone is. He's a supporting actor. Ultimately, I'm not really that mad about it because I like Kieran a lot and I'm happy he has an Oscar. But I saw a tweet that said this blatant category fraud feels like the sort of thing Kieran's character in the movie would rant about. And yeah, that's honestly a perfect assessment. I also think out of these 5 nominees, the one I personally would have given the Oscar to is the eldest boy himself, Jeremy Strong. He is unreal in The Apprentice, giving an intense, menacing, borderline unrecognizable performance that also happens to be a supporting one. I also think I slightly prefer Guy Pearce in The Brutalist over Kieran, who's kinda third place in this category for me. Again though, I can't say I'm all that mad, because it is genuinely very funny that Roman won an Oscar before Kendall. Cool guy, very good performance. I don't get why he won. I feel like the single most forgettable acting win out of the 20 we've gotten so far this decade is Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Like, dude, who even talks about this movie? On the surface, this seemed to be a pretty boring biopic win, where an overdue actress gets tossed an Oscar for a forgettable performance as a real-life person. Honestly though, while the movie isn't anything amazing, I actually thought it was pretty good, and the central Oscar-winning performance was very emotionally powerful, aside from just being a really good impression. I don't really know a whole lot about Tammy Faye or how she talks.
First tell me, who did the coat, who did the suit?
Okay, I got him on the street.
But I thought Jessica Chastain's portrayal was very moving and sympathetic. I believed her as she fell in and out of love with her snake oil salesman husband. Which, by the way, Andrew Garfield is also really good in this movie. But, you know, he already had an Oscar nomination that year, which he should have won for. So I don't really mind him not getting as much attention as she did. I like Chastain's vulnerability, her charisma when performing on television, and especially the scenes where she talks to the AIDS patient and where she admits to briefly cheating on her husband in the hospital. Both of these were really great showcases of her emotional depth as an actress, and they landed for me without having to judge this solely as an impression performance. I also don't think there was a lot of strong competition in this category, though to be fair, the only other nominee I've seen is Kristen Stewart in Spencer, and it's arguable that maybe her performance should have won out, but ultimately, I'm pretty happy with Chastain taking this. A great, underrated performance by the standards of this decade's Oscar winners.
And when a man dies, it is sad.
Da'Vine Joy Randolph is a very simple yet effective winner in terms of the role she plays. She portrays a grieving mother so authentically, offering a ton of emotionally powerful moments and deliveries, while also having a great, dry sense of humor and effortlessly going toe-to-toe with Paul Giamatti in a ton of scenes. She carries this clear sense of sadness with her throughout the whole thing. And while she's obviously great in that scene where she breaks down at the party, I think my favorite moment of hers is earlier when they're watching the Newlywed Game, and she calmly talks about her late fiance and son. I love the way she only starts breaking down towards the end of the conversation, as if the sadness is finally all hitting her at once. It's very true to life. She's absolutely wonderful in this role, but I think I did prefer Paul Giamatti and Dominic Sessa's performances. Maybe that's because they had more screen time and their relationship is the heart of the movie. Though to be fair, all three of these characters are suffering from some form of loneliness, and I think Randolph is the best at getting that across. Partially because of the way her character is written, but also thanks in no small part to how empty and lost she looks in a lot of scenes. I'm very glad she won. Though, looking at the nominees, I think maybe Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple was a little bit better. She really hit hard emotionally, stole a lot of scenes, and absolutely nailed the singing. I don't know, maybe I'm just biased towards musicals. What are you gonna do? Randolph is a more than agreeable winner, though. If the Holdovers only had to win one Oscar, the fact that that one win was for her just feels right. Honestly, I would have also given it cinematography just for that one shot where Hunnam is looking for Angus, and then the camera rapidly zooms out to show the whole school. Dude, this movie's amazing. You gotta watch it if you haven't already. I don't really care for Adrian Brody, like in general. It doesn't even have anything to do with his acting ability. I kind of just don't like his vibe. Speaking just on his performance in The Brutalist, however, he absolutely does a great job portraying a man grappling with not only the horrors he just escaped from, but also the horrors of the American dream. I bought his excitement and wide-eyed wonder at certain times that slowly gave way to misery and despair. My favorite scene of his is an hour in when he's at Van Buren's Christmas party, telling everyone at the dinner table about his past. There's this devastating sense of weariness and pain he shows off in a pretty subdued and unflashy way. It's overall a very powerful and emotionally charged performance. I don't necessarily think he was better than Coleman Domingo or Sebastian Stan, who I would have sooner rewarded in this category this year. I don't even think he gives the best performance in The Brutalist. I mean, Guy Pearce is genuinely fantastic and commanding during every scene of his. But Brody is certainly very good. Great even. I wasn't even the biggest fan of this film, but I can't deny he does a wonderful job in the lead role, forming a character who feels so real despite being completely fictitious. It truly is his best performance since Brody Quest. So you know how I was saying Troy Kotzer being the only cast member of Coda singled out for awards praise didn't make any sense to me? Take those feelings, multiply them by 10, and you have my sentiments on Ariana DeBose's utter dominance in the supporting actress category that award season. Now, as you can tell by this placement, I actually think her performance is wonderful. She's an insanely talented triple threat who sings and dances exceptionally well, while also giving a great acting performance as the fiery Anita. I always like when a musical performance wins an Oscar, because it feels like they're being rewarded for the singing and dancing, on top of the usual things an Oscar-winning performance has going for it. That's a big part of the reason I was rooting for the other Ariana in the supporting actress category this past year. I just think nailing the musical bits of a musical is incredibly impressive and praiseworthy, which makes it even more frustrating that Zoe Saldana won because she wasn't even that great at singing, but okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. Yeah, good for Ariana DeBose, honestly. It's pretty crazy that the first original Broadway cast member of Hamilton to win an Oscar was not any of the leads, not even Lin-Manuel Miranda, but instead it was the ensemble member who played the bullet. It really goes to show that every single ensemble member on Broadway is on a level of talent enough to be a lead in something else and give a tremendous performance. I think DeBose portrayed passion and grief incredibly well. She has some very powerful scenes in the second half of the film, though my favorite scene of hers has gotta be America. I mean, look at the way she moves. Granted, everybody in this movie moves that good except Ansel Elgort, and that's kind of getting into my beef with this win a bit. I really want to make it clear that I have no problem with her winning in her category. I mean, her competition wasn't that exceptional. Like I alluded to earlier, Anjanou Ellis-Taylor was really good in King Richard, but I would still vote for Ariana over her. Her winning an Oscar for this is perfectly fine by me. My problem, the thing that made me feel like I was going insane that entire award season, is that Ariana DeBose is not giving the only Oscar-worthy performance in this film. Not by a long shot. I would argue that she is the third best performer in the film. Because in my opinion, she gets overshadowed heavily by Mike Feist and Rachel Zegler. These two are outstanding, and it drives me up a fucking wall that neither of them were ever contenders for the Academy Award that season. Mike Feist got a BAFTA nomination for supporting actor, Rachel Zegler won the Golden Globe for musical or comedy actress, and then that was it. They didn't show up in any other major televised award category. I'm sorry, what is it about DeBose's performance that was so much better than those two? Feist is absolutely electric, with an unforgettable voice, a real heart and soul, and a mastery of his dance moves. And Zegler, don't even get me started. She has this incredible sweetness to her, but she also gives such an emotional powerhouse of a performance in so many crucial scenes. After the Rumble, there's this duet between Zegler and DeBose. And yeah, DeBose is great in it, but Zegler is just phenomenal! I feel like I'm going insane! How did she not get a nomination for Best Actress? Because she's new to the scene? That shouldn't have stopped the Academy. It's called a breakthrough performance! And I'm sorry, Mike Feist should have swept supporting actor. He was by far the best supporting actor performance of the entire year. I'm really happy that Troy Kotsur won, so if we still wanted to give it to him instead, we could have at least nominated Mike Feist instead of Jesse Plemons playing a glorified background character in Power of the Dog, instead of J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos, which I have not seen, but I have heard from my sources that he should not have been nominated. That's crazy that I'm saying that, because I love J.K. Simmons. He's one of my favorite actors, but there's no way he outdid Mike Feist. Did you see the shit this boy does? The way he moves? This is so stupid! And I really wanted some hard data for this point. Some sort of proof that I wasn't insane in saying that Ariana DeBose was not the be-all, end-all, only Oscar-worthy performance in the film. So I asked on Twitter who people thought gave the single best performance, and Rachel Zegler won in a landslide! See? I am not crazy! Plus, Mike Feist was almost neck and neck with DeBose, and the comments especially had a ton of praise for him. Obviously, there's still passion for Ariana DeBose's performance, and again, I must stress enough that I do consider it to be Oscar-worthy. It's ranked pretty high on this list after all. All I'm saying is, I would have ranked these two performances even higher if they actually counted! Sorry I've been ranting so long for this segment. I've just been holding that in for the past 4 years. I didn't realize how badly I needed to get it out. Yeah, Ariana DeBose, really good at acting and singing and stuff.
Because if it's not from Grandma, it's from somebody else.
I was ready to rank Yeo Jung-yoon a little bit low before rewatching Minari, because I honestly couldn't remember anything that special about her performance. But giving it another look, while it's not really the kind of flashy performance that usually wins an Oscar, damn it, it's so heartfelt and likable. I can't see the Academy awarding this sort of quiet and understated performance in a normal year. I mean, this was 2020, and the supporting actor category especially was pretty weak that year. Glenn Close got a nomination for playing J.D. Vance's grandma. That is not a joke. Look it up. Speaking of grandmas though, I was very moved by what a sweet performance Yeojung gave, because I am tragically a huge grandma's boy. I love seeing her bond with her grandson in ways that didn't make her out to be the best role model. She gives off such warmth in the first half of the movie that gives way to devastating weariness and emptiness after she has a stroke in the second half. She really does a great job with non-verbal acting in her last few scenes in the film. You just get a sense of how worn down she is from that one facial expression she makes. But I also love the contrast between these scenes and her earlier ones. My favorite moment in the film with her came when she assured her grandson he wasn't gonna die anytime soon. Yeah, ultimately, not only am I glad she won the Oscar, but I think she did give the best performance in the film. It's not as fiery as the yelling Han Ye-ri and Invincible had to do as they portrayed a strained marriage, but as great a job as they did, Yeojung just does a lot more with a lot less, I feel. It's nice that such a prolific South Korean actress earned this recognition from Hollywood, actually becoming the first Korean actress to win an Academy Award. I think she's great in this lovely film. But not quite as great as my boy Skip Schwink as the doctor. That's right, it's Alpha Dog from CIA, baby! A lot of people have wondered why my CIA video is gone from YouTube. Sorry guys, it actually got blocked everywhere but America. That's the problem. But with Surfshark VPN, you can trick your browser into... Honestly, I kind of just wrote that in as a joke, but no, actually that's a real practical reason you should use Surfshark VPN. And in fact, it's so practical that I'm actually going to tell you about it as the sponsored bit. Surfshark VPN, an incredible product that encrypts your data and protects you online. With Surfshark, you can trick your browser into thinking you're in another country, thus allowing you to access exclusive Netflix or Disney Plus content you couldn't get otherwise. Or, you know, some video that might have been blocked in your country, which you can now watch with Surfshark VPN. That's pretty cool. Wow. Plus, use its Surfshark alert system to get alerts anytime your email address or password is compromised. Surfshark Alert scans various databases of leaked information and notifies its users if their data is found so they can take action, which is an absolutely invaluable feature. Surfshark is also totally unlimited, meaning you can use it on as many devices as you like, even all at the same time. No other VPN allows this. Go to surfshark.deal/Rillis and enter promo code RILLIS to get 83% off and 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN for free. It's an amazing deal, and it's even better because it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not satisfied, you can cancel during those 30 days and get your money back. If you're looking for a great VPN, there's no reason not to give Surfshark a try. Once again, head to surfshark.deal/Rillis and enter the promo code RILLIS. Have a great time with Surfshark VPN.
Or is it the bagel?
Wow, it's been quite a while since we talked about Everything Everywhere All at Once in this video. It's almost like the other two winners were actually really great and well-deserved. Crazy. Legit though, it really is cool how many Oscars this movie got, especially in the acting categories, since it is kind of a genre film. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what genre. I mean, there's comedy, action, sci-fi, absurdism. The point is, this is the kind of movie that demands multifaceted, compelling performances from its leads. And I think Michelle Yeoh absolutely rose to the occasion. She nails the comedic bits, the action, the general fish out of water aspect of her character in the opening hour, and the absolute determination to save her daughter we see in the second half. She does a really great job of anchoring us with a very believable performance considering how much insanity is going on around her. I don't necessarily think her performance is quite as flashy as Ke Huy Quan's or Stephanie Hsu's, since they have to play wildly different variants of the same character, while Yeoh is mostly the same variant throughout. I don't think that diminishes her performance at all. I just think the other Oscar-winning role from this movie we haven't talked about yet is a little bit more demanding. And considering how Best Actress this year was a two-horse race, my thoughts on the matter is, yeah, I think Cate Blanchett's performance in Tar was more compelling. Completely different kind of performance in a completely different kind of movie, so it's really hard to compare the two. But in a vacuum, I think Blanchett was a bit better. With that said, did she need to win a third Oscar over Michelle Yeoh's first? Absolutely not. I'm happy it went this way, not just because of the numbers, and because Yeoh is the first Asian Best Actress winner, which is really cool, but because her performance really was deserving in general. Take Blanchett out of the running, and I would have easily been 100% behind Yeoh. I think this film is a great showcase for how great she is in a variety of genres and settings. And I especially love that emotional scene she has with her daughter in the climax. Cool as hell win for sure.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potatoes.
And now for the best performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once. The most deserved Oscar winner to emerge from that film, Ke Huy Quan. Sometimes I kind of think to myself, maybe we were all a little too excited about his inspiring comeback story, and that's the main reason he won. I mean, maybe it is in the sense that a lot of people probably voted for him because of that comeback story, but watching the movie again, yeah, no, this is absolutely an Oscar-worthy performance. He has the benefit of showing off his chops in a variety of genres like Yeoh did, from comedy to drama to action. But it's a lot more pronounced with him since he has to switch between goofy regular Waymond, suave capable alpha Waymond, verbose mature actor universe Waymond, etc, etc. And god, it just feels so effortless. He nails every single version. You'll be laughing at something goofy he does in one scene, and then 10 seconds later, he'll suddenly be giving the most devastating reaction you've ever seen. He has a lot more emotional bits than I remember, getting so choked up about his crumbling marriage in one universe, solemnly mourning the loss of his dead wife, and then forcing himself to move on in another. He's funny, he's badass, he's emotionally rich and compelling. Before the mother-daughter connection really takes center stage, he's kind of the heart of the movie for at least the first half. Definitely still a supporting performance, yet one that's an absolute scene stealer. He just wears his heart on his sleeve throughout the entire film, giving such an expressive, lovable, incredible performance from the first second he's on screen until the very end. I hate to be cliche, but I do think his best scene is the build-up to that iconic "In Another Life, I would have really liked just doing laundry and taxes with you moments. Not just because of that universe's performance, but because of how that scene is intercut with the much less verbose normal Waymond giving a speech to everyone to stop fighting. It's such a great showcase of his range as an actor. Absolutely devastating me in 2 different universes for 2 different reasons. Absolutely one of the best supporting performances of the decade. Oh man, I love this guy. He's so great.
My mom met my dad. They had sex. It's amazing.
Alright, now we're getting into the real all-timers. The truly outstanding Oscar-winning performances of the decade. Daniel Kaluuya is simply unreal in Judas and the Black Messiah. He has such a fire to him, such powerful fury and charisma whenever he gives a speech that captures the essence of Fred Hampton so expertly. I do find his casting a bit odd, considering he was about 10 years older filming this than the real Hampton was when he died. I don't know, watching the movie, you don't really get a sense of this guy's youth, but that really is not the fault of Kaluuya at all. He can't help being 30. I think this is one of those cases where the emotions that come out of the performance are more important than giving a one-to-one impression of a real person. This performance wouldn't be nearly as good if he didn't match the sheer intensity of his public persona with weariness and humility in his private one. But he does so beautifully. He conveys a beaten down and broken man so well in both the prison scenes and when he's talking to his girlfriends. Though, the speech scenes are definitely his best work in the film. I especially love his I am a revolutionary speech. Here's the thing though, even though he definitely has the flashier role, I genuinely think Lakeith Stanfield might be even better in this movie. The sheer pain and conflict he portrays, the subtle facial moments he does to convey his deception. It's genuinely incredible work. So do I think he should have won the Best Supporting Actor trophy that year? No, because he should have been up for lead actor. I don't even know what happened here. He's the main character of the film. They are not both supporting. Honestly, I would have bumped Stanfield up to lead and then given the empty supporting actor nomination slot to Jesse Plemons. He is ghoulish in this film. It really is just 3 insane powerhouse performances that make this movie as magnificently compelling as it is. So yeah, Stanfield was my favorite, but giving him the supporting actor trophy just would have been weird and bigger category fraud than anything else on this list. At least with Zoe Saldana, you could argue she's not the titular role, and she kind of drops off in terms of relevance during the 3rd act. Here, I guess there are 2 titular roles, but like, Judas comes first. This is clearly from Stanfield's point of view. I don't know, whatever. Kaluuya is an appropriate win for this category, especially because of how richly compelling his performance is.
Well, this is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible.
Now it's time to talk about the most awkward win of all time. Anthony Hopkins randomly winning Best Actor, which was pushed to the end of the ceremony since the producers clearly thought it was going to go to the late Chadwick Boseman. And Hopkins also was not even there to accept the award in person. That's how the show ended. Truly wild and cringe. The general consensus, though, is that while it would have been really nice to give Boseman an Oscar for his final performance, Hopkins genuinely did give the better performance that deserved to win in a vacuum. And like, yeah, I agree. Hopkins is absolutely incredible here, portraying so many different aspects of a man suffering from dementia. Genuinely such a terrifying prospect. It's hard to think of anything worse to suffer through. Hopkins looks so lost throughout so much of this film. He sells the agitation, he sells the rare moments of charisma where he feels like himself again. He sells the biting and venomous things he says about his daughter without even realizing what he's saying. I think the best thing I could say to get across just how tremendous this performance is that it doesn't feel like a performance at all. It feels completely real. Like I am just straight up watching a man suffering from dementia before my eyes. And it is absolutely soul crushing. I hate to be cliche again, but the best scene of his is obviously that I want my mommy moment at the end. Honestly, that might just straight up be the best acted scene out of every single performance on this entire list. It's pretty hard to find any fault in this one whatsoever. While I have seen a lot of people rank him as the absolute best Oscar-winning performance of the decade so far, there are just a few others that captivated and impressed me a bit more for various reasons. If you think this one deserves to be number 1 though, I couldn't even offer a rebuttal to that. Absolutely outstanding stuff.
Well, like they say in Brooklyn.
Honestly, this might be another situation where the top two are the best critically, but this third place pick is my favorite. I just cannot stop thinking about Mikey Madison in Honora. What an absolute powerhouse. She keeps this entire film afloat with her magnetic charisma, great sense of humor, and absolutely devastating portrayal of a woman getting everything she ever wanted and then having it all ripped away in an instant. It's a very loud and brash performance, but it never once feels like she's overdoing it. This is exactly how a young woman from Brooklyn would react to the larger-than-life insanity that happens to her over the course of the film. The first hour of her performance is great. She's a very believable stripper, and she gives plenty of nice, subtle indications on her face that maybe this is starting to feel like more to her than a job. The scene where Yvonne proposes is excellent, as we watch Annie start to lower her guard in real time, and go from dismissive of the idea of marrying him to completely selling herself on it. It's a great performance in the first hour, like I said, but it becomes transcendent once the goons get involved. She sells the trauma and terror of the situation, but also fires back at them in the argument scenes magnificently. She maintains this tremendous energy and fury throughout the lengthy home invasion scene, and it's just impossible to look away from her. But the best element of her performance is the heartbreak. The gradual realization that she just won't be accepted into this world as much as she wants to be a part of it. There's this wonderful shot that just lingers on her face after Garnick shows up at the door and refers to her as some prostitute Yvonne married. Just some tremendous nonverbal acting, as you clearly see just how deeply this stings to her. The same is absolutely true when they're about to board the plane and she makes one last plea to Yvonne. I cannot get that look she gives him out of my head. And after he says she made his last trip to America so fun, she switches back to the tone of voice she uses on the job with,
"Yeah, you had fun?"
indicating through a change of demeanor that their relationship is finally severed once and for all. All of this is already fantastic. But once again, I hate to be cliche for the third time, but her crowning moment in this film has got to be that haunting last shot. For such a wild Best Actress race this year, with Demi Moore and Fernanda Torres also giving real all-timer performances, there was no question in my mind that Mikey Madison deserved the win. This was my favorite performance of 2024, and one of my favorites of the decade so far. I cannot wait to see where Mikey Madison goes from here, and I would not be shocked if she finds herself back on that stage accepting another Oscar at some point.
My bomb. They killed people?
For some reason, when my eyes first saw Oppenheimer, as much as I loved the movie as a whole, it did not register to me what a generational performance Cillian Murphy gave. Maybe that's because it's honestly a little bit unflashy and subdued when you really get down to it. He doesn't yell or give any crazy big reactions usually. He just gives a soft-spoken yet absolutely commanding performance that seamlessly adapts to the character's mental state at so many different points of his life. He's unashamedly cocky during much of the first hour, far more cautious and mature in his role as project leader during the second hour, and then just a complete wreck, an absolute shell of his former self during that last hour. And again, Cillian doesn't have to go big or overblown to convey any of this. It's such a multifaceted and layered performance that brings such a mythic man to life in an entirely believable way. It's honestly ridiculously hard to pick out a definitive best moment within this performance. So I don't know, man, here's a bunch. The scenes where he's vulnerable contrast so well with his arrogant outward persona. And nowhere is that more evident than when he's naked with Jean. His demeanor in this scene is unlike anything we see from him in the rest of the film, which goes a long way in terms of expressing how special the connection between the two of them is. But then there's the scene with Truman. Just the delivery of, "I have blood on my hands," is simply absurd in terms of its dramatic weight and potency. There's the sheer panic on his face during both his hallucination and when Roger Robb is grilling him. There's the iconic Oppenheimer stare at the end, arguably the definitive film image of 2023. One that everyone remembers thanks in no small part to how much Cillian kills it with that expression. And then there's also I don't know, man, every other scene in the damn movie. It truly cannot be overstated how perfect a fit he is for this film, and how thoroughly he nails every aspect of this challenging, meaty role. It's really nice to see a longtime member of Christopher Nolan's revolving ensemble of actors finally get to be a lead for him. And in terms of whether he deserved the Oscar, look, I love me some Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, but that would have felt so wrong if he won over Cillian. This truly feels like one of, if not the most correct acting Oscars the Academy has given out this decade. Like, I genuinely feel like it's the one no one can argue against. It's a performance that's gonna be remembered for decades to come. And as much as it would make perfect sense as the topper to this whole list, there was one other I was even more impressed by. Yeah, to be honest, this wasn't really a hard choice. I have straight up never seen a performance like Emma Stone's in Poor Things. That's not me saying it's the greatest performance I've seen in my life or anything, but it's just the fact that this seems like an impossibly difficult role to pull off, and she rises to the occasion with flying colors. Portraying Bella Baxter at every single stage of her life, from infancy to enlightened adulthood, is just absolutely staggering. Right down to the way she moves. Oh my god, the physicality of this performance is astounding. She stumbles around exactly like how a baby would. Her tantrums and misbehavior at the beginning convey her underdeveloped mind so believably. It's a performance that can so easily come across as embarrassing in the hands of an actress not committed to this deeply insane vision. But Stone dismisses all possible inhibitions and just becomes Bella Baxter. The fact that she manages to portray different stages of this character's life without any change in her physical appearance is incredible. As someone who really can't stand those biopic Oscar wins where an actor is just in really heavy makeup, Stone basically gives the exact opposite of that kind of performance. We recognize it's her the entire time, and yet she is just so lost in the character that it doesn't even matter. The performance wouldn't be nearly as remarkable if she didn't transition from her younger self into a deeply brilliant and articulate woman. But she does. It's an unbelievably multifaceted role where every line delivery and every movement feels entirely authentic. And much like Madison, this movie is also kept afloat by Stone's brilliant charisma and likability. Bella Baxter is straight up one of the great film characters of the 2020s so far. Her infectious whimsy and curiosity is a sight to behold. And we're right there with her, watching her gawk at every new discovery this world has to offer, both good and bad. The scene where she learns about pain and suffering on the boat is really upsetting, and I was tempted to say it was my favorite of hers, but my mind always goes back to that moment towards the end when she reunites with Godwin. Stone conveys the character's mixed feelings so beautifully in this scene. The simultaneous joy and contempt at being given life against her will. It's a tough balancing act, but she makes it seem effortless. I don't even know what else to say, man. This is easily the most difficult role any of these winners have had to play. And the fact that she embodies it so perfectly and makes this larger-than-life character feel authentic rather than cartoonish. I mean, I really can't argue that anyone but her deserves to top this list. I know a lot of the conversation surrounding her win involves how much everyone wanted it to be Gladstone. If she had won, she definitely would have been top 5 in my ranking at least. But I was always of the opinion that Emma Stone gave the more impressive performance. This honestly makes her first great win for La La Land look pedestrian by comparison. It's the kind of role you never see rewarded at the Oscars. I am pleased as hell with her win, and I think it's by far the best Oscar-winning performance of the 2020s so far. Alright, a couple things before we conclude for real. First of all, I think it might be fun to do a little bonus ranking and take a look at all 19 of the winners' speeches to see what's the worst and what's the best one. And yes, I only said 19 because if you might remember, Anthony Hopkins was not there to accept his award. So we're just gonna remove him from the list and start with the worst actual speech. Number 19, Adrian Brody. The longest Oscar acceptance speech in history, and he did not say a single damn thing worth remembering. rambly and generic at best, and at worst, it was kind of smarmy and egotistical. Not just the infamous, "oh, I've done this before" line, but so much of the first 2 minutes of the speech feel like him just whining that it took him 20 years to get another good role after his first win. I saw someone describe this speech as the exact kind of self-congratulatory Hollywood circle jerk that most people assume the Oscars is 100% of the time. And yeah, that could not be more apt. I hated this speech, and it just gets worse the more time passes. Number 18, Will Smith. The only reason I gave him the slight edge is because of the inherent entertainment value of seeing him have an emotional breakdown trying to justify the slap for like half the speech. It was every bit as rambly and cringe as Brody's, but at least there was an actual reason for it to be. I very much did not enjoy this one, but at least it was kind of funny. And there were a couple decently cute moments, like how he mentioned his mom was watching this with her knitting friends. Oh my god, I want to see the group chat between those knitting friends after the slap. If anyone is friends with Will Smith's mom, please spill the tea. Number 17, Frances McDormand. Okay, was everyone at the COVID Oscars high or something? Because all three of the acting speeches don't make a lot of sense to some degree. One of them I really appreciate because of how rambly it is. Frances McDormand's? I mean, it's not rambly, but it also makes no sense. My voice is in my sword. We know the sword is our work, and I like work. Also, I want to do karaoke. Jesse, what the fuck are you talking about? I feel like she didn't really care to give a third Oscar speech, so she just said fuck it and said the first things that came into her head. Hey, at least it was short. Number 16, Daniel Kaluuya. Love the guy, love the performance, but this speech was really long and kind of boring. Just going through the standard motions of thanking everyone involved. It got a little better when he started talking about Fred Hampton, but then he follows that up with, "My mom and dad, they had sex. I'm happy to be alive." Like, his mom's reaction says it all. I love funny shit in these speeches, but that was just so out of nowhere that it's like, I don't know, Daniel, what are we doing here? Number 15, Brendan Fraser. Look, I'm as happy as the next guy that he won an Oscar, even if I hated his movie. But dude, this speech is so corny. "Oh, your whale-sized hearts. Oh, only whales can swim at the depth of the talent of Hong Chow." Dude, the movie wasn't about a literal whale. Why are you making all these nautical references? They kind of overshadow anything else he said in the speech. Not much about it really stuck out to me as being all that memorable. Again, I'm really happy for him, guys. You have to believe me. Number 14, Zoe Saldana. Alright, I am fighting every Amelia Perez hating urge in my body right now and trying to ignore the fact that she thanked Jacques Audiard and talked about what a great role and character this was. I really did love her acknowledgement that she was the first Dominican actress to accept an Oscar and that hopefully she won't be the last, as well as acknowledging her immigrant parents and her grandmother. But I don't know, I feel really mean saying this, but something about the speech felt inauthentic and, dare I say, overacted. Like, we all knew she was winning. She had to have known she was winning. So something about the sheer overblown emotion she expressed here just felt a little performative. I know, that sounds really mean, but that's just the vibe I got compared to other actors who get emotional and cry during their speeches. I really can't tell you why. I just did not get invested in the way she delivered this speech, even if she did have some very nice things to say in it. I didn't fully care for this one. I promise it's not because the movie is bad. Okay, maybe it partly is. Number 13, Cillian Murphy. Now we're getting into the good speech territory. Very short and sweet. I loved his acknowledgement of the 20 years he spent working with Christopher Nolan, trying to help us live in Oppenheimer's world, and him saying he was a very proud Irishman was cute too. Not the most memorable speech, but a nice one regardless. Number 12, Robert Downey Jr. Pretty fun and aloof speech. Not quite as funny nor genuine feeling as Kieran Culkin's the next year, but it's still very good. I liked him thanking his terrible childhood, his stylist, and the whole cast and crew. The line, "I needed this job more than it needed me," really sticks out to me as a nice way to acknowledge what an important opportunity this was for him to be seen as an actor with range again in something other than a Marvel movie. So yeah, anyway, Dr. Doom, huh? Number 11, Emma Stone. I have to say, she came across as very overwhelmed for a two-time winner. I really do assume she expected Lily Gladstone to win. And the fact that her voice was gone and her dress was broken probably didn't help. But in spite of all that, her speech was pretty coherent and nice. A bit standard, but I do like a couple of her lines, like how her 3-year-old daughter has turned their lives Technicolor, and how she tells Yorgos, "Thank you for the gift of a lifetime" in Bella Baxter. A very nice and authentic speech. Number 10, Mikey Madison. Short, sweet, and simple, but that's what I like about it. She came across as very nervous and overwhelmed by this honor, which made her speech feel all the more genuine. I liked how she thanks the sex worker community. I really like that line about how she grew up in Los Angeles, but Hollywood always felt so far away. She's just a lovely young woman who gave an incredibly nice and endearing speech. Number 9, Ariana DeBose. Another very nice and sweet speech. I really liked her verbally reaching out to anyone who's ever questioned their identity. I loved her acknowledging Rita Moreno and how her Anita paved the way for every Anita to follow. I don't exactly know what she meant when she told Spielberg, "You're stuck with me now." Like, no, he's not. He could cast other actors. Oh well, other than that, yeah, I think the speech was absolutely wonderful, and she definitely finished it very strong. Number 8, Jessica Chastain. For the first half, this one is pretty normal and standard, just thanking everyone involved in the cast and crew, as well as in her life. But I really like how in the second half, she speaks on issues of suicide and protecting the LGBTQ community, even tying that back to her character in the film in a natural way. I think that was very nice of her to use half of her time up on stage to talk about this. It was absolutely wonderful to hear. Number 7, Jamie Lee Curtis. Damn, you know what? I really like this speech. See, I told you I'm not biased. It was really nice of her to acknowledge the work of everyone in the crew and frame it as, "We just won an Oscar." She builds and builds on that line really well as the speech goes on. And then finally, after acknowledging that both of her parents were nominated but didn't win, she ends with, "I just won an Oscar," which feels well earned. The line in the speech, not the actual win itself. Shaking my head to show that I disagree with this win, even if I think the speech in a vacuum was really sweet and genuine. Number 6, Michelle Yeoh. A very lovely speech full of warmth, grace, and gratefulness towards her whole family. It definitely peaks at the beginning when she encourages all the little boys and girls who look like her watching to dream big. And especially with that line telling ladies not to listen to anyone who says they're past their prime. I kind of feel like if she ended on this line, it would be a little bit higher in the ranking, but you know, she got the sentiment across anyway. Overall, this one was great, and I still think about its best bits to this day. Number 5, Kieran Culkin. Oh man, he's such a delight every time he opens his mouth, and this was no exception. The story with his wife was very funny. Some people on film Twitter took it way too seriously, as I expected. Like, come on guys, it's a silly jokey joke between them. Love of my life, ye of little faith. That's a real all-timer line right there. I loved him shouting out his mom and Steve for trying to raise him, and I thought it was sweet how he thanked his manager of 30 years first and foremost. No, actually, first and foremost, he singled out Jeremy for praise among his fellow nominees. That made my little Succession-loving heart soar, honestly. This was easily one of my favorite speeches of the night, and one of my favorite acting win speeches of the decade. Number 4, Davine Joy Randolph. Now this was a wonderful and powerful speech. I loved her acknowledging how she never expected or intended to be an actor. I loved hearing her say that she just needs to be herself, even if it is a cliche. I loved her thanking her teacher to encourage her to lay a trail for herself. It was just all around a beautiful and incredibly authentic feeling burst of emotion. Number 3, Yejung Yoon. Okay, I really should not have this one this high, because like I teased earlier, it is so rambly and all over the place. But goddamn, is this lady such a treasure that I could listen to her ramble for days. It's so genuine in a way Adrian Brody and Will Smith's speeches weren't. Just this woman expressing her gratitude and shock that she's even here instead of watching on TV at home. Saying, "How can I win over Glenn Close?" is so funny. And acknowledging that she shouldn't even be competing with her other nominees since they're all completely different kinds of movies. I mean, she really clocked the T of the Academy there, huh? Like, that's a really good point. I like how she thanked her 2 boys for pushing her to work hard, with this being the result. I like how she acknowledged that the cast really became a genuine family. And I especially think it's so nice that she thanked her first ever director, who had already passed away. This is one of the absolute kindest, most genuine, funniest speeches out there. And it makes me so happy to revisit every time. Number 2, Troy Kotsur. This is the only speech to canonically mention Joe Biden, so That's something, I guess. But yeah, this was an absolutely wonderful speech. Equal parts funny and emotionally devastating. Filled with gratefulness for his family, cast and crew, and the deaf community. And man, I get really choked up hearing about his dad. Hell, even the guy doing the voiceover for the speech got choked up. I mean, come on. This was such a beautiful moment in a genuine, earnest, and memorable speech. Number 1, Ke Huy Quan. I mean, come on. You knew it was gonna be him. From the moment he said, "Mom, I just won an Oscar," it was over. This is the acting speech of the decade, and it's really hard to imagine anything in the second half topping it. Him telling his story about coming here on a boat and being in a refugee camp, shouting out at his brother who calls him every day, thanking his wife for constantly telling him that one day his time will come, telling everyone at home to keep their dreams alive, and ending it off with, "Thank you so much for welcoming me back." This is a perfect speech, and you can just hear it in his voice and see it on his face, how genuinely beyond thrilled he is to be here. One of the absolute best Oscar speeches in the past few years, and an easy winner for this list.